transport is the ultimate in or one of the ultimate in essential services. It's something that everyone relies on as part of their daily life, for everything that they do, and through the partnerships, through the perspectives, and through the commitment to securing a better future, we have that opportunity to identify and pursue opportunities to make things better for the people that we all serve.
Simon, thanks so much for coming onto the podcast today.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me.
Are you able to do your 30-second elevator pitch? So what is your name, the organization you work for, and also what you are passionate about?
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Simon Hunter. I have the privilege of holding the position of Chief Transport Planner for Transport for New South Wales, which means that I get to look at the whole of the state and planning for the long-term future of that state. I am really passionate about the transport sector generally and what the transport sector can do for communities in terms of enabling everyone to achieve the things they want to do in their life. And probably the things that I most hope to achieve in my role are things that leave a bit of a long-term intergenerational kind of benefit, whether it be big transport projects that will enable the shape and growth of future cities, or down to a really, really capable workforce of continuing to do great things when other people are running it.
Awesome. So in your career, you've actually held quite a number of positions across quite a number of different industries. You've got, just to name a few, freight, regional and urban transport, infrastructure, smart places, and also data. How have all of those kind of previous experiences and different roles influenced your current approach to strategic transport planning?
Yeah, it's a great question, and one that probably I don't think about because I just take into everything I do, all the experiences that I've been fortunate enough to have in my career. I think having had experience doing regional and remote sort of transport for a while, looking at freight and logistics and commercial transport, as well as passenger transport and active transport, has given me a really well-rounded perspective on things. And means that I come to it with the ability to empathise with all the different users of our transport system and all the competing priorities for it. Sometimes it makes me more confused, but I think mostly it sets me up to be better at balancing the needs of all of the different people who need to use our system when providing advice to government. The smart places role and the broader infrastructure role, where I got to look at digital infrastructure technology, the health sector, and others, I think again gave me a broader perspective. But also the smart places and technology work gave me a real sense of the future and the art of the possible, and it probably gave me a running head start on the benefits and value of AI, machine learning, but also the benefits that we can derive from sensors. Data is something that I think we need to really be conscious of, be focused on, and think about in everything that we do, because the public expects government to make data-based decisions and evidence-based decisions. And how we use data, what data we use, how we check that data, how we manage that data, and how we treat it and value it as an asset, I think is something that all leaders need to be cognizant of. And also how we share the wealth that comes from data with organisations like ITLS and with the student body, to enable them to reach their own conclusions and do their own analysis around what maybe some of the challenges and opportunities in the transport system are. So yeah, I feel like it's been great to have so many different titles and different roles and opportunities to learn different things, and each of them give me something that I think helps me provide good advice to government and be open to listening to a multitude of sources in that process.
It's actually really interesting. You mentioned data. I was literally talking to Susan Harris from ITS Australia yesterday about their summit. And one of the questions I'd asked her was, what do you think are the top 3 big issues after having had conversations with everything from federal government to startups? And one of the things she brought up was exactly what you've mentioned, which is data, but also data that can be accessible to not just one
Yeah.
particular group of people to make decisions, but just like
Yeah.
have something that everybody can access and share in the benefits of kind of more equally and distributed more equitably.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a data commons kind of thing where people have the opportunity to infer different things and test different hypotheses using open source data. And like I think in Transport for New South Wales and my colleague Simon Roberts and her team, I think do a really good job of trying to make data as open and accessible as they can, as well as the insights from data that they derive being as meaningful as they can. It's it's an incredibly it's an incredibly important issue, I think, and the democratization or availability of data versus the need to protect and keep private some information is a really interesting public policy challenge, I think.
So speaking of kind of strategic initiatives, are
Mm.
you able to share some of the key strategic initiatives that are currently being pursued by Transport for New South Wales? And are there any that you are like particularly excited about?
Yeah, look, I think under the Minns government, which has been in office for a year and a half almost now, there's been a real pivot in the focus of Transport for New South Wales on the public service to get back to basics, to get back to making sure that we're focusing on the delivery of quality transport services, getting people back on public transport, re-engaging and connecting with our workforce. Um, Building cities and communities, investing in local solutions, encouraging more active transport use and all of those sorts of things. I think it's a really exciting time to be in transport because of the partnerships that we're working on to deliver housing. There's a lot of coverage in New South Wales and Australia wide and a lot of focus on housing at the moment. And transport is a really critical enabler of housing. And one of the things that we work on every day is working with the Department of Planning, Housing and Infrastructure, working with developers and things to see how transport can support housing. And and that's probably something that I think is quite exciting to most people that are working in a transport planning space at the moment, and certainly is to me.
As someone who lives right next to where the new metros are opening, can definitely say that it's like quite a. There was actually so many people when then they went and did the opening. I was talking to
Mm,
someone in my team who also lives in the same area, and he was like, "Oh, on the weekend I'm going to the metro opening," and I was like, "Oh, me as well." And then there was
yeah.
so many people there, so there's obviously this like for people who don't actually kind of maybe work in transport, there's still this like excitement about having
Mm,
this new shiny option and like accessibility, I think.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's quite incredible, isn't it? And it's 100-year infrastructure. New rail lines don't come along that often, and so they are something to get excited about. What did you think when you went and did the tour?
Oh, it was really good. I really liked there was also the artwork and the murals that they're
Uh-huh.
associating into or integrating, I should say, into the different stations. And we went to the one at Crow's Nest, and it
Yep.
reminded me a lot. There's like these tiles at the entrance that remind me a lot. It kind of looks halfway between like a Mondrian artwork and
Oh,
like old Central Station tile work.
yeah.
So it was really like aesthetic, but also
Um,
just really nice and shiny and new. And it reminded me a lot of the new undergrounds that you see with the Elizabeth line in
yeah.
London, and some of
Yeah.
the MRTs or MTRs. I never remember the acronym
Yeah.
in like Hong Kong and
Yeah.
Singapore. So it was very exciting.
Yeah, the metro in Doha is similar. Some of the way they've built in some of the sort of Bedouin characteristics and things into some of the tiling and the rationale behind some of the designs to help keep things cool and stuff. I think it's great. It's great to see transport agencies worldwide doing that sort of stuff.
It was very cool.
Um,
So it's switching track slightly.
yep.
So you are involved with the Institute of Transport and Logistics Studies. In what capacity do you support ITLS?
Yeah, well, Transport for New South Wales has a long-standing partnership with ITLS, which as recently as yesterday, Professor Nelson and I met with our acting secretary to sort of talk about some priorities and things like that. And I think that two-way relationship and dialogue between transport agencies and premium research institutes like ITLS really gives both sides a lot of benefit. I would say that I'm a member of the board of advice. I'm a proponent and supporter of ITLS. I'm a consumer of research and papers that ITLS produce, but I'm also someone that looks for meaningful partnerships with ITLS. Like over my career in transport, we've done work on aviation, we've done work on on-demand transport, and in coming months we have a training session on travel demand management that we're running in partnership with ITLS. So I think I have a multifaceted relationship, I think, with the organization.
In your opinion, what do you think makes the ITLS Board of Advice unique? Because I know there's quite a number of different organizations that are all set up to kind of discuss transport and logistics.
Yeah, I think it's that. I think that is the plethora of perspectives that the Institute wants to take on board, and the real challenge that the Institute gives itself to stay relevant, to stay contemporary, and to stay focused on what the important issues of the day are. You know, like having Professor Hencher and Professor Nelson want to come and meet with the secretary just to understand what their priorities are so they can influence how the institute works. I think it shows a real willingness to partner. And then I almost feel like I'm out of my depth sometimes at the advisory board because there are so many big brains in the room and people with long experience and passion for transport. And and really I think the thing that drives almost everyone is achieving better outcomes together, research, providing an evidence base for different ways of doing things that will secure better outcomes for communities. Having people with an operator's perspective there, I think really adds a lot of value as well. And it's just, it's an enjoyable forum.
I would agree with all of those things. It's funny that everyone kind of says very similar things.
Yeah.
Julie G was talking about similar thing with the diverse perspectives, but also like ages and industry versus operators versus research. So that's very
Yep.
consistent with basically what everyone else has said, which is quite interesting as well.
Maybe it beats Julie and I've been working together for too long if we're saying the same thing. But no, I'm glad to hear that.
If you had, we talked about quite a lot, including your career and how that's influenced your approach to strategy, and then some of those key strategic initiatives in place, and then ITLS. If you had to kind of distill everything into like a 30-second one sentence key message, what do you think that message would be?
Wow. Yeah.
Easy on a 9:40 in the morning.
I think it is that transport is the ultimate in or one of the ultimate in essential services. It's something that everyone relies on as part of their daily life, for everything that they do, and through the partnerships, through the perspectives, and through the commitment to securing a better future, we have that opportunity to identify and pursue opportunities to make things better for the people that we all serve. I guess that would be my takeaway message. And for me, that sits really aligned to my personal values and focus on being a public servant. So, it's a very nice fit.
If people wanted to reach out and learn more either about any of these strategic initiatives or yourself, where would be the best place for them to do that?
Yeah, message me either on LinkedIn or through my work email or something like that. I think between people like Julie, people like myself and others, we're really keen to engage on topics of transport and on how we can provide advice to our government to make things better for the communities that we serve. So if people have ideas around that, they just want to talk generally about transport, or they have specific questions for me, yeah, please do reach out. Like LinkedIn's a really easy way, I think, to do that.
That's true. Well, Simon, thanks so much for your time in chatting with me on the podcast today.
No worries, Emily. I hope I gave you enough to be useful.
To learn more about any of the guests that we have on the Bite Size podcast, you can check out our show notes at compassiot.substack.com. Alternatively, if you'd like to know more about the company that runs this podcast, Compass IoT, you can visit our website, which is compassiot.com.au. Until next time.